I'm your friendly neighborhood radical joy coach, aka your rest friend, Jordan Maney, and this is the Rest Lab podcast. Well, y'all, I'm not going to be before you for very long, but let's get to talking. I am recording this. If you're listening to this, I am recording this in the month of January, and I want to talk to you today about the energy of January and rest. We know that people often are making and likely failing by now those New Year's resolutions. That's not meant to be shade. We're meant here to reframe this. Also, if you're in the United States or watching from abroad, what's going on in the United States, I'm recording this after Renee Good has been murdered. ICE is running amok in Minnesota. I think they just shot another and killed another person 2 days ago. ICE is here in San Antonio. And I'm saying all this not to rile up your nervous system, but to just place you into the context of the collective unrest we are all feeling. I always want to acknowledge that and talk about that in context again into January, right? So I don't know if you know this, but January is the etymology of that word is from the Roman god Janus, who is the god of doorways, transitions, beginnings and endings of conflicts as well, which I think is important here. But Janus was a two-headed god whose one face was always towards what was in front of it, and the other towards what was behind it. And some scholars, I'm basing this off of Wikipedia, so don't think I'm too deep. Some scholars have looked into the etymology of the word Janus and looked at the word hiare. That's the infinitive of a Latin verb that means to be open or to be open-mouthed. So I also want you to keep that in mind. January is not a time to react. It's a time to reflect. And I have to impress this upon you because I know who's listening to this. It's not some rando. It's people who care very deeply, people who give a damn, people who see what is going on outside and they're like, okay, well, how do I get involved? How can I start? Somebody's got to do something. I'm sure you've heard that. Someone's got to do something. Who's going to do something? Who's going to do something? And I just want to tie in this like energy of January and this idea that urgency and hopelessness feed into each other. Oftentimes when that someone needs to do something, someone should do something, when you feel that urgency, you feel the hopelessness and helplessness of the moment of like, well, what can I do? What do I need to do? We often freeze, right? And then because we're so stuck in reacting to what feels, and I'm not going to hold you, is urgent, it keeps us from responding comprehensively and sustainably. So I don't know if you remember a couple episodes ago, I talked about the 20-year fire. If you knew there was a 20-year fire, would you simply show up to it with a bucket of water and keep trying to like throw it on? Or would you try and get trained by the people who know how to do this and act as relief for them and eventually trainers to the other people who are coming along and waking up to the fact that there's like, shit, there's a 20-year fire. We need to go handle this. How would you approach it differently? That is another moment that we are in, friend. And if you haven't been doing this, already, that's not a moment to shame you or judge you. But we are dealing with something and people who have been doing and unraveling social safety nets and protections for decades. If they've been able to do that for decades, you can't take a minute to regulate your nervous system. You can't take a moment to breathe. Right? I want you to rethink this time to be open mouthed. I want you to rethink this time of seeing what's ahead of you and what's behind you and to reflect, not necessarily react. Because look, I'm saying this from experience. When I first started like dipping my toe into activism and showing up at protests way back, 10, 12 years ago, I was very reactive. Everything was urgent. Everything was on fire. Everything was bad. And everything needed my energy, attention, and time. Everything. But when everything does, nothing gets done. When everything is urgent, nothing gets done. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Eisenhower matrix, where it's like what's important but not urgent, what's urgent but not important. It's like 4 little quadrants. A lot of things are urgent, but the important things oftentimes don't get tended to because we're constantly based in urgency. And so what I'm saying, and I already know the people who are listening like, but Jordan, it's really bad outside. Yes, I know that. And I know this sounds counterintuitive. I know that rest often feels counterintuitive to progress, but it is how we sustain movement. It is how we sustain progress. In this moment, for this year, for all the ways that you want to respond comprehensively and sustainably, that you want to keep fighting that fire, I want you to rethink this time as a time to reflect, right? I want you to rethink winter. MLK Day is in a couple days. It's a time to dream. It's a time to reflect, but dreams require action. So in that reflection, I want you to think about what actions around your rest, joy, and collective care do you want to take in 2026? Sorry, I just dropped something right in front of the mic. I'm not editing it out. This is how you know I'm not AI. But what actions do you want to take around your rest, around your joy, and around collective or community care? What actions do you want to take that are not simply reacting in a moment? I'm not saying reacting is bad. I'm just saying it's not sustainable. From personal experience, it is not sustainable. And at a time when we really need to reclaim our energy, attention, and time so we can focus it on solutions, so we can focus it on responding comprehensively to problems in our communities, to over policing, to the presence of ICE and them agitating our communities. Like, what and how do you want to reclaim your energy, attention, and time? How do you want to take actions around rest and joy and collective care so that your focus is on what moves us forward? Because rest takes you off of that reaction wheel, right? That doesn't really get you anywhere. It's moving in place. And it puts you onto this almost runway, if you will, of responding and not just reacting. Reacting is very impulsive. It's very in the moment. And again, I'm not saying it is a bad thing, but it is not the only tool that we should be using. It's not the best tool to use. Sometimes that's all we got. Sometimes that's what we got to do. But for this bigger, important, longer term stuff, and trust me, it pains me to say this is a long-term fight. For that, we need to respond, and respond not just individually, but collectively. So I'll tell you what I've been thinking about for 2026. I've been thinking about joining a local union here that I really, really love, Southwest Workers Union. I've done classes at them at their location in the past. I'm thinking about volunteering, specifically scheduling time to not just volunteer in my community, but towards a group that I really love called Act 4 SA. They have done some really comprehensive work around local policies, really helping people understand like information as it relates to like the San Antonio Police Union and some of the lobbying that they've done. Like, I'm trying to apply what is happening nationally and attend to it locally because that is sustainable for me. To do it in community with other people, to do it in a way where I can touch it here, and to talk to you about it as well, because I am not an activist, but I can be a better advocate for my community locally, but also communities that I'm a part of and I care about. So yeah, I just want to talk to you about that energy of January and of initiation and this feeling of urgency, and especially with everything that's happening right now in the country, this feeling of just like urgency, and we have to someone has to do something. Someone can be you, someone can do something, and sometimes the best tool that we have in our toolkit is our ability to respond comprehensively and not just react in the spur of the moment. They are tools. We need both. We need both. So I hope that was helpful for y'all. I'm not going to do a bulletin, I don't think. I just wanted to talk to you off cuff for a little bit and help you kind of reflect for yourself on what actions do you want to take, and what does it require for you to take action? What does it really require of you? Does that mean less time on your phone? Does that mean something shifts in your schedule? What does that look like for you? Let me know. I want to hear about it, and I will be telling you about my journey with this as well. All right. Until next time.